Thank you. Peace, peace. Welcome to the YouTube live book reading of The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality. Divine Rising. Peace, peace. Welcome, YouTube. Here we go. We pick up on page 10, chapter 2. Welcome. Birth of the Negro myth. Birth of the Negro myth. When Herodotus visited it, Egypt had already lost its independence a century earlier, conquered by the Persians in 525. From then on, it was continually dominated by the foreigner. After the Persians came the Macedonians under Alexander, 333 BCE. The Romans under Julius Caesar, 50 BCE. The Arabs in the 7th century. The Turks in the 16th century. The French with Napoleon. Then the English at the end of the 19th century. Ruined by all these successive invasions, Egypt, the cradle of civilization for 10,000 years, while the rest of the world was steeped in barbarism, would no longer play a political role. Nevertheless, it would long continue to initiate the younger Mediterranean peoples, Greeks and Romans, among others, into the enlightenment of civilization. Throughout antiquity, it would remain the classic land where the Mediterranean peoples went on pilgrimages to drink at the fount of scientific, religious, moral, social knowledge, the most ancient such knowledge that mankind had acquired. Thus, all around the periphery of the Mediterranean, new civilizations have been built, one after the other, benefiting from the many advantages of the Mediterranean, a veritable crossroads in the world's best locations. These new civilizations have evolved mainly toward materialistic and technical development. As the origin of that evolution, we must cite the materialistic genius of the Indo-Europeans, Greeks, and Romans, the pagan clan, which animated Greco-Roman civilizations, died about the 4th century. Two new factors, Christianity and the barbarian invasions, intruded on the old terrain of Western Europe and gave birth to a new civilization, which today, in its turn, presents symptoms of exhaustion. Mhm. Mm. Thanks to uninterrupted contacts between peoples, this latter civilization, which inherited all the technical progress of humanity, was already sufficiently equipped by the 15th century to plunge into the discovery and conquest of the world. And so, as early as the 15th century, the Portuguese landed in Africa via the Atlantic. They established the first modern contacts, henceforth unbroken, with the West. What did they find in the Africa? Which peoples did they encounter? Had these been there since early antiquity, or had they just migrated? What was their cultural level? The degree of their social and political organization? What impression could the Portuguese have had on these populations? What idea could they get of their intellectual capacity and technical aptitude? What kind of social relations were to exist between Europe and Africa from that time on? The answer to these different questions will fully explain the current legend of the primitive Negro. And let's go back and look at some of these beautiful pictures and glyphs that we have at the start of chapter 2, reading The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality. So, first we have 3. The God Osiris, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, Rogers Fund, 1910. The Osiris. Isn't it beautiful? Beautiful. All right, and here we go. This is proto-historical figure of Lord Terranetter of the Negro, a new race, first inhabitants of Egypt. Yes, the making of ancient Egypt, the Metanetter. See, yeah, we're reading it. Y'all chose. This is so beautiful, man. I'm so grateful and thankful. Look at that. Isn't it fabulous? Absolutely beautiful. All right. And 5 is Narmer or Menes, typical Negro, first pharaoh of Egypt, who unified Upper and Lower Egypt for the first time. He is assuredly neither Aryan, Indo European, nor Semitic, but unquestionably black. The first to unify Upper and Lower of the Nile. Thank you so much for being here and reading books with us, book lovers community. It's heart love and honor. Yeah, we get up early. That's how we do it. And that's so that we can bring you the peace, the peaceful part of YouTube where we read books and learn from masters. I'm Master Fitness Trainer Uriel Riley. So thank you for reading with us. Yeah, we're all the way up here. It's a beautiful thing. All right, here we go. And 6 is Zoser, a typical Negro. This pharaoh of the third dynasty inaugurated large architecture in hewn stone, step pyramid, and tomb at Saqqara. With him, all the technological elements of Egyptian civilization were already in place and would be perpetuated from then on. The Metropolitan Museum of Art, Rogers Fund, 1911. Zoser. Wow. Ooh, so beautiful, right? Look at this. Absolute. Thank you, thank you. Fun rise. The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality by Dr. Shanta Diop. And you chose. All right. And 7 is Cheops, fourth dynasty, Pharaoh, builder of the Great Pyramid. A black man resembling the present day Cameroonian type. Yeah, perfect. This is who built Giza and Giza, the Great Pyramid. That's it. See, you see it now. See, that's what's important. That's why I was saying in the last reading, when you get the history from the people themselves, it's clear. You're not guessing. That's what real history is for, and that's why they ban these books. And we bring them to you on this part of YouTube. Thank you so much. Peace upon you, lass, and thank you so much. Thank you. Highest heart love. I met me and Mia. All right. Yes. Happy Mother's. And 8, Mycerinus, 4th dynasty, who built the 3rd Giza pyramid. Next to him, the goddess Hathor. Yeah, most of these were stolen and taken out of their original location. And so Dr. Cheikh Anta Diop and Theophilo Banga, they went around the world and still grateful that they're here to bring us this information and knowledge, wisdom. So you have no doubts. All right, here we go. And this is number 9, Pharaoh Mentuhotep the First, a typical Negro founder of the 11th dynasty, circa 2100 BCE. And you see his arms crossed, sitting, Mentuhotep. Yep, the first. That's it, the first. Thank you so much for being here. Highest heart love. Isn't it amazing? Yes, divine days and nights. All right. And 10 is Pharaoh Sestos, the first, 12th dynasty. Okay. Yeah, these aren't depictions. These are actually real statues and reliefs. Now, let's look at this. Let's look at this for a second. Number 11. I told you we're going to take our time. That's why we do on this peaceful part of YouTube. We can take our good old time. 11. Pharaoh Ramses II at the top, and a modern Watusi. The Watusi hairdo can be conceived only for woolly hair. The small circles on the pharaoh's helmet represent frizzy hair, as noted by Denise Caphart in her article in Reflet du Monde, 1956. So that's what I was telling you. I bring you ancient information so you know you're not guessing. You know, a lot of people out there think they're discovering something new. You're not. We've been new. Look at this. Look how beautiful that is. You see, you can do that with our hair. You can't do that with some laying down flat hair that doesn't have life and curl in the natural direction. You can do that with our hair, and we still do it. And that's what this, learning from masters, you understand. You don't know everything. You haven't traveled everywhere in the world. So you just look foolish when you think you know. And you don't know. And that's why we read. And number 12, Pharaoh Thutmose III. This is what's on the book cover. Son of a Sudanese woman, founded the 18th dynasty and inaugurated the era of Egyptian imperialism. He is sometimes referred to as the Napoleon of antiquity. Oh, so beautiful. The African origin of civilization, myth or reality, by Dr. Cheikh Anta as a university named after him in Senegal. The great Dr. Cheikh Anta destroyed everyone's feelings. I love it. Ooh, I love it. Oh, we are greatest. Look at us. Look at the things we can do. We built all of the pyramids, all of them, all over the world. Not one is built by somebody that didn't look like us. Period. Facts. The Sudanese pharaoh Taharka, who we have also in the statue out back. 13, Taharka. No melanin people could, low melanin people could never, ever, ever. They were burned. And that's just the facts. Get over it. See, when you can accept things, then you can move forward. If you can't accept reality, then you're going to live in fantasy land. And you'll die there too. But I'd rather know. I'd rather know. Yeah, I read this a long time ago and I was just loving it. I was like, yep, makes sense. When you get to see it, you know. To answer those queries, it is necessary to go back to Egypt at the time it fell under the yoke of the foreigner. The distribution of blacks on the African continent probably went through two principal phases. It is generally agreed that by 7000 BCE, the Sahara had dried up. Equatorial Africa was probably still a far zone, too dense to attract men. Consequently, the last blacks who had lived in the Sahara now presumably left it to migrate toward the Upper Nile, with the possible exception of a few small isolated groups on the rest of the continent who either had migrated toward the south or had headed north. Perhaps the first group found an indigenous black population in the region of the Upper Nile. Whatever the case, it was from the gradual adaptation to the new living conditions which nature assigned to these various black populations that the oldest phenomenon of the civilization came about. This civilization, called Egyptian in our period, developed for a long time in its early cradle. Then it slowly descended the Nile Valley to spread out around the Mediterranean basin. This cycle of civilization, the longest in history, presumably lasted 10,000 years. This is reasonable compromise between the long chronology based on data provided by Egyptian priests, Herodotus and Manetho, place the beginning at 17,000 BCE and the short chronology of the moderns for the latter are obliged to admit that by 4245 BC, the Egyptians had already invented the calendar, which necessarily requires the passage of thousands of years. Obviously, during the long period, the blacks could have penetrated deeper and deeper into the interior of the continent to form nuclei, which would become centers of the continental civilization analyzed in chapter 8. These African civilizations would be cut off from the rest of the world. They would tend to live in isolation as a result of the enormous distance separating them from access routes to the Mediterranean. When Egypt lost its independence, their isolation was complete. From then on, separated from the mother country, which was invaded by the foreigner and withdrawn in geographical setting, requiring a minimum effort of adjustment. The blacks were oriented toward the development to their social, political, and moral organization rather than towards speculative scientific research that their circumstances failed to justify and even rendered impossible. Adaptation to the narrow, fertile Nile Valley required expert technique in integration and irrigation and dams, precise calculations to foresee the inundations of the Nile and to deduce their economic and social consequences. It also required the invention of geometry to delimit property after the floods obliterated boundary lines. By the same token, the terrain in long flat strips required the transformation of Paleo-Negritic hoe into a plow, first drawn by men, subsequently by animals, indispensable as all that was for the Negro's material existence in the Nile Valley. It became equally superfluous in the new living conditions in the interior. Since history has disrupted his former equilibrium with the environment, the black now found a new equilibrium, differing from the first in the absence of the technique no longer vital to the social, political, and moral organizations, with economic resources assured by means that did not require perpetual inventions. The Negro became progressively indifferent to material progress. It was under these new conditions that the encounter with Europe took place. In the 15th century, the first Portuguese, Dutch, English, French, Danes, and Brandenburgers began to set up trading posts on the West African coast. The political organizations of the African states was equal and often superior to that on their own respective states. Monarchies were already constitutional with a people's council on which the various social strata were represented. Contrary with unlimited powers in some places, mhm, he was invested by the people, with the prime minister and intermediary representing the free men. His mission was to serve the people wisely, and his authority depended on his respect for the established constitution. Woo! Peace, peace, peace. Highest heart, love, Coco. Thank you for keeping the chat clean. Awesome. Ooh, you see how it just went the galactic level right there? That's how you got to do it. That's how you got to do it. Y'all chose. Woo! Oh, this is so great. Yeah. We'll pause right here and continue back with wow, wow. So good, right, Coco? Highest heart love. You see, you see. I love it. Happy Mother Love Day. Wishing the best. Awesome. Oh, wow. We are going into a new set. And you're going to see that frequent with this reading, you know, in the chat and the Mbangi. Yeah. Especially with all the anti-blackness. Right? It's so good though. That's how you gotta stand on your square, you know. I'm a master, a true master. So, you know, it hurts some people to see black joy, you know, mastery, poetry, truth, right? Hi, it's heart love. Happy Mother's Love Day, right? Let's and to all those that have lost their mother, all those that have elevated, we honor you. We love you. We all come from a mother. We all come from a mother. And we love you. I love you, Mom. I know you watch my videos sometimes. I love you. Yeah, we love you. I speak for my siblings, and you know, and I know you do. Oh, look at all the hearts. Oh, so Ashe. Oh, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and Mother Gaia. That's right, Coco. Thank you so much. Highest heart love. To love to this beautiful planet. Love to all those that keep it clean. All right. We keep our place clean. We eat clean, and look at how our world just turns out. I mean, it's like harmony. The more you stay in harmony, it's the magnetic and electric balance. It's harmony. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you so much. Wow. Beautiful. Great love, Lord. Yeah. And to all those that have lost their mother, special. You're very special. You know, let's have another drink for those that have lost them. They're with you. They're watching over you. Remember what they said. Love you. Mm. Thank you so much for being here, listening to this beautiful reading. You know, when you listen to someone speak about their own experience, their own life, that's a special moment. And so that's what like books are to me and writings, you know, they're special moments that people capture. And that's why I love history books so much and National Geographics and manuals because you're capturing a moment and giving other people moments. So thank you so much for reading with us The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality by the great Dr. Cheikh Anta, who has a wonderful, wonderful university in Senegal where they keep so many great artifacts as well. So we're shaking it up on YouTube. You're going to see that a lot. Thank you for keeping the Mbangi clean. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of upset people. Oh, and hey, they got to deal with the truth, right? We're listening to an own African speak about own continent. Shake it up. Thank you so much for all those mothers, all the divine feminine. We all engender both the divine feminine and the divine masculine. It's just how we harmonize with it, right? Ay, 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 ay. Love, 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 love. You. Ay, 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 ay. Love you. You know, because I love myself. Thank you so much for reading with us. Now, I had to come on. You know, it was like I always honor my mom, and my daughter's mother, and because my daughter, you know, this is her mom, and always grateful that she has shown me so much love and respect, and that shines through to the rest of the world how we treat our parents, right? So honor and love. I'll see you soon. Peace, peace. When we reconvene, thank you for the likes and subs. Here we go.